All right. Good morning, folks. It is way early. It's not even 4 o'clock in the morning yet here in Southern California. But I wanted to kind of just jump off the page at you and just tell you how excited I am to hit you up on this Monday morning and just go nuts, go crazy, right? I have another day, full day, where I'll be training folks on behalf of Los Angeles County on how to run the voting booths, voting stations, right? So we're doing some IT training, teaching people how to set them up, troubleshoot the equipment, things like that, technical training, right? And so when you're training field support technicians, a lot of people think it's going to be super dry or boring, like, do I have to go to training? And I've always been kind of an excitable kind of person in the classroom. I like to have a lot of fun. I like to cut loose, tell some jokes, maybe make fun of some people, and just try and make it engaging, So I do this thing and like, hey, if you can hear me, thumbs up. And now that we have COVID, I tell everybody if someone answers a question real well, do an air high five and you have to make the noise, right? To go, right? And by the end of the class, everybody's walking around outside, thumbs up and air high fiving people. And you can see people that leave other classes because we've got typically 3 classes going at a time. The other classes will leave, and people just kind of out to the table, get their credentials so they can go to their next job and all that. And then my class gets out in the parking lot and they're all like, right? And it means a lot to me. It means that uh, made a connection, made an inroad, did something. And I think about the role that I play as a technical trainer. So, there's public speaking where you're doing a presentation or a speech or a talk, and it comes from you, right? Comes from the heart, comes from a sense of making that connection based on the content that you're providing, right, from you. And then there's the kind of coaching and training that I'm kind of a specialist at, and that's doing this technical type training, right? Whether it's rebuilding a motorcycle, doing computer networking, those types of things. That content, as much as I can put my own flavor on it, as much as I can, tell stories like I liken building these voting stations with iPads and thermal printers to being a technician at the Ford store, right? And I go, hey, you're not gonna have to rebuild the whole car if someone brings it in for a check engine light, right? No, no. If you're a technician at a Ford store and someone comes in with a check engine light, all you do is work on the check engine light. So let me put you at ease. Let me take some weight off your shoulders, and I'll show you, how this iPad and thermal printer and all these things make their connections. But please, please know that when you have to actually work on this, if it were to fail, you wouldn't have to break the whole thing down and rebuild the whole thing, from the motherboard out. No, you just find out what the one root cause concern is, and then take care of that root cause concern and move on. And so when I explain things to people like that, you can tell that they're lightened, right? Their burden has been lightened. And that to me is my job. So when I look at what I teach, when I look at these types of events, I'm drawn to kind of a dichotomy of being. And that is, I'm responsible to present the content that was given to me. That's to quote Andrew Eggleton, that's heartbrain stuff, right? I know what the message is, I know what the content is, I know what my responsibility is to deliver that message, that content to those people. But then there's a certain flair that has to come from my heartbrain, and that's where I'm able to make those connections and make the content lighter, increase retention, and help people feel better about the decision they made to do this, as a part-time job, because this is for the election, so it's a part-time job. And so for me, I look at people like Andrew Eggleton, Jake Ballantyne, even Dave Gambrell, with his daily talks that he does on Facebook Live. I look at Greg Kettner, what he's done with humor. Um, there's a bunch of folks out there. Colin, why can't I remember Colin's last name? Colin. He's a comedian, good guy, good guy. Does a lot of talks. So And I'm kind of being a little quiet in the workspace here because my family's still asleep upstairs. So I'm not yelling at the microphone. But I look at what these people and their influence has put into my life, and I go, okay, now I've got it, right? I've always been able to be fun and be a cut up and be someone that keeps class light. But now I'm doing it with a much higher degree of intention. I'm doing it not to be manipulative. I think that's a bad way to look at it, but to be influential. I want to make the most amount of impact and add the most amount of value to folks that I can. And I've really been enjoying this last week being in front of a live class again, between 30 and 50 people in the room, each class, 2 times a day, all week long. It's been a hoot. It's actually been a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of pressure. It's probably the hardest work I've done in the last couple of years, to be honest with you. But it is some of the most fulfilling, knowing that I'm able to come to the table with each of these. Like if you were to think of like a file cabinet and think of all the folders, right? You open up a file cabinet, you got all these folders in there, and some people have the ability to go and grab a folder out of the file cabinet. And for this last exercise, I've literally been able to go in and pick, a handful of folders and apply them to what I'm doing. And it's neat because for me being the one that's executing, I can see each of those folders in action. I can be like, that's what I got from Andrew. That's what I got from Greg Kettner. That's what I got from John Maxwell. That's what I got from Dave Gambrell. That's what I got from Jake Ballantyne. And when you surround yourself with solid, good, talented people, these are the results that you get. And it drives me back to the content that's in the Mañana No Mas Academy. I say it over and over and over again. Sometimes people think I'm a little fanatical. Fanatical, that sounds like a little over the top, but people might think I'm a little fanatical about this personal development stuff. But when you can see it play out time and time and time again and see it work, uh, you get much more out of it. Happy Monday. You guys have a good one. I know I'm super, super early, but you can see it play on the Mañana No Mas website.